For more about 702,
go to primemediaplus.com.
All right, we are in conversation now with Action SA. I'm not sure if you saw their statement, I think yesterday. Remember, over the weekend was the deadline to make constitutional inputs, public inputs for the constitutional review of the Constitution that happened. And I do know that Action SA came out saying that actually it formally submitted proposed amendments to the Constitution. What they want is to tighten immigration laws. They want to limit the rights of undocumented foreign nationals in the country. You can weigh in on this conversation as well. I'm joined now on the line by Athol Trollip, Action SA's parliamentary leader. Athol, good morning. Welcome to Radio 702. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Tshidi. Thanks very much for your time and good morning to your listeners. I have got limited time. I'm in a portfolio committee meeting, but very happy to talk to you.
All right. Thank you so much for making time for us. I'm not going to try not to waste too much of your time. Let's speak about what actually motivated some of the inputs. Before I even ask you what is it exactly that you're looking to change, what was the motivation behind thinking of what needs to change in the country?
Well, Tshidi, the main motivation is that we have a crisis of undocumented or illegal immigration in this country, and it's having a knock-on effect on service delivery and also on the rights of bona fide South African citizens. So it's in light of that we made proposals to make amendments to the preamble of the Constitution and to certain parts of the Bill of Rights.
Let's speak about that preamble. For me, I looked at it and I thought one of the most key things about that preamble is that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. And that's an issue that I think Action SA would take, that actually it doesn't believe that it belongs to everybody. Let's speak about what you want to change with the preamble before we look at the Bill of Rights.
All right, thanks very much. So I think the preamble is the where the Constitution begins. It's the introduction to the Constitution. And we believe that the text around South Africa belonging to all who live in it needs to be corrected because there is persistent misinterpretation, which has been used to extend constitutional protections to those residing in the country illegally, Tshidi. And what we are saying is that this is a deliberate misreading of what it actually says, and we are requesting a carefully considered revision to reaffirm the original intent of this principle and prevent its continued misappropriation without undermining the inclusive spirit of the Constitution.
And then with regards to the Bill of Rights, you also want changes to particular areas, housing, healthcare, education. Help us understand why these three specific areas.
Okay, so that's the essence of this constitutional change motivation, because we believe that South Africa belongs to all its bona fide citizens and permanent residents and immigrants that are recognized legally. It doesn't belong to illegal immigrants. And we have between 5 and 10 million illegal immigrants in this country. Nobody really knows how many. It could be more. But it's potentially up to 20% of the total population. Now, those people that are here illegally are allowed to make application to the Bill of Rights where it makes provision for provision of housing or temporary housing accommodation. It also allows them to make application for health care. They can go to any clinic in this country. They can give birth in any hospital in this country. And also there was recently a Constitutional Court ruling that they can access schools for their children near where they live. Now, what that means is that essentially it pushes bona fide South African citizens to the back of the queue, and we as Action SA are saying charity begins at home. South African citizens should be at the front of the queue for housing, healthcare, and education, and that it should not be permissible for an illegal immigrant to access those services before a bona fide South African citizen or somebody who is legally in our country. So essentially, the amendments of the Bill of Rights are Section 26, 27, and 29 that deal with the housing, healthcare, and access to education. And we're, as a party, are saying we cannot continue allowing the misappropriation of this noble intent that is stipulated in our preamble to be expropriated by people from foreign countries who come here because their own countries can't create jobs and opportunities for them, and they come to our country and take those jobs and opportunities, and we have one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. We have to start putting South Africans first.
I'm wondering what our listeners make of what Action SA has put on the table. Please feel free to weigh in to share your thoughts on the suggestions that Action SA has put on the table. 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702 for voice notes and WhatsApp. They want to tighten the immigration laws. They want to limit the rights of undocumented foreign nationals. They speak about the preamble of the Constitution, worried about how the term, the phrasing, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, has been abused. Athol, all of this, though, might also be seen as flying against our Ubuntu values. That some of these, the tightening of these measures, almost flies against who and what we want to be understood as, particularly as far as international human rights are also concerned, and what we've signed onto and what we've agreed to provide, and the role we've agreed to play, not only in the region, but on a global scale.
Tshidi, I hear you, and as I said in my introduction, that we want to bring about these changes in a language and a presentation that doesn't undermine the inclusive spirit of our Constitution. But let me give you an example. If you or I travel to the United Kingdom, for example, and we fall ill and we do not have travel insurance, we have no right to access the national health insurance. We then have to find money from somewhere from our own pocket to access healthcare if we fall ill. But in South Africa, that doesn't prevail. And we're saying South Africans must be put first. That's essentially what we're saying. The other thing is, Tshidi, is that I was asked this morning whether we shouldn't rather be looking at better border control and management. Yes, we should. That does go hand in hand with this problem. But there are already between 5 and 10 million illegal immigrants in this country that are accessing the very rights that are guaranteed in our Constitution through the preamble and the Bill of Rights, and they're accessing those at the expense of bona fide South African citizens.
I know we press for time. I'm going to try to squeeze in two quick ones before I let you go, Athol. What about the children then born of people who weren't from this country? Because those children being born here, one would argue, what about their rights to access healthcare, education, housing? What is the measures there from Action SA to deal with children of immigrants born in the country?
Well, that's a very good question, because the world over, even recently in the United States, they are reviewing the rights of children born in the United States. We have very strict laws in that regard that prevail. And we're not saying that the laws must be changed about the rights of children born in South Africa. But there's a difference between a child born in South Africa from people who are in South Africa legally, as opposed to people that are in South Africa illegally. And that needs to be scrutinized. And if the law needs to be changed to tighten that, to put South Africans first, well, so be it.
Yeah, simply put. Before I let you go, last one, I promise. The problem with the sentiments around migration, immigration, undocumented migrants and all of that is that it easily fuels the conversation of xenophobic violence. Those rhetorics are concerning. South Africa has that issue. That is an issue that it's dealt with. Are you not worried as being seen as that? I mean, part of the criticism against Action is saying Mashaba, the leader, has been this is xenophobic language.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that debate was put to bed a long time ago. Herman Mashaba was the first high-profile South African politician who took back hijacked buildings from illegal immigrants who were running their own parallel rental schemes and ruling communities through fear. And then it became the sort of lexicon of all the political parties. Every single political party is talking about illegal immigration in Parliament and in South Africa now. We have not adopted the stance, for example, of Abaha Bebonke. No, we're not saying everybody must go. We recognize that we live in a global village and that people go where there are opportunities, and we respect that. But it must be done lawfully and legally. And if you slip across the border illegally and you're bringing contraband into this country, or you are committing nefarious activities, why should you then be treated like a citizen who is law-abiding? So we're saying, if you're above the law, you're welcome in this country. And if we know who you are and we have your records, you're welcome to come and contribute to growing our economy and making South Africa a wonderful place. But if you do so surreptitiously below or behind below the radar, then you are unacceptably an illegal immigrant. And there's nothing xenophobic about that. That's simply a matter of law.
Quick one before I let you go. I know I keep saying last one. Quick one. Are you going to be using the relationship you've built with the ANC and the GNU partners to try and further this mission? Because now you actually have a relationship with them and you might be able to get some things passed through. Would you be able to look into working with them along those lines?
Well, I don't know so much about the relationship we have with the GNU. We have taken a position in Parliament that we will be a constructive opposition. We'll oppose where we must and we'll cooperate where we can. But we will discuss this matter with all the other political parties who have been outspoken about illegal immigration. This is simply about putting South Africans first. And we're not ashamed of that. We actually propose that South Africans must come first and South Africans must be protected by their constitution. So if the constitution has to be changed in order to do that, well, then we must change the constitution.
All right, thank you so much. That's Athol Trollip. Athol is the SA parliamentary leader Action SA is a parliamentary leader, speaking to us there about the proposals that they've put through as far as constitutional amendments are concerned. They're worried about two key factors. They speak about the preamble of the constitution, and that's where that beautiful line, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, is an issue for them. They say that it hasn't helped us at all. They also raise the issue of the Bill of Rights in terms of provisions relating to housing, healthcare, and education. What are your thoughts? I'll play your voice notes and WhatsApps. Lots of reaction to the story in just a bit.